Good afternoon, Monarch Nation, and welcome to today's pregame show as we preview Marshall versus ODU here at WODU Studios. First, some key points in order for the Monarchs to get a W against the Thundering Herd. The rushing attack for ODU needs to be very strong. We're only averaging 106 yards a game here for the Monarchs. That's 3.2 yards per rush. So we're going to need more out of Jeremy Cox. Establish the run early and then throw off of that. The Marshall defense, however, is allowing 3.7 yards per rush, which is about 127 yards per game. However, Marshall is the 11th team in Conference USA in...
No, they're ranked 11th in the entire NCAA in rush defense.
Correct. 11th in the NCAA in rush defense. A big thing for the Monarchs, if you can get your run game going early, you go to the play action. Passing will be key. 7.73 yards per pass, 12.76 per catch, and over 300 yards a game. So that's ranked third in Conference USA for ODU.
Let me ask you this, Chris, for the pregame. Since we know how good Marshall's run defense is, does that put more pressure on Blake LaRussa today?
No, if the ODU offense just plays their game and you establish the run early and then you take the pass off of the run and you run the RPO, you should be fine. There shouldn't be more pressure on Blake LaRussa. You just knocked off the 13th team ranked in the country in Virginia Tech last time you were at home. There's no more pressure than that.
I also think it's pretty, not to say easy, but it's an easy feeling when you got guys like Duhart and Fulgham to throw to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, most definitely.
I mean, you look at Duhart on the year, already has over 700 yards, 6 touchdowns.
I mean, Blake's going to put up the yards. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's averaging over 300 passing yards a game. It's
just a matter if the players can get open.
Yeah, but if they're focusing too much on stopping Cox, then that leaves Duhart out there. Same thing with Fulgham.
Yeah, definitely.
Now joining the fray is Mello Styles.
Hey.
Mello, what do you think about the whole? Is Blake LaRussa more pressured today?
Virginia Tech by 30.
Narcs by 90. What do you mean?
It's gonna be tough. I mean, the more weeks you go into it, we see what their strengths are. Right? Is now they're a passing team, which going into the season we thought they were a running team. That's what they were gonna. The run was gonna set up the pass. So now they're a pass that's gonna set up the run, which is more difficult. But Marshall's going to have to scheme against it. I mean, I think it's going to be more difficult for Marshall defensively.
Yeah.
Because, yes, they're good run defense, but now the Monarchs are not known for running.
Right. The air attack for ODU is a lot for them to have to game plan against.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think Marshall's going to put as many in the box to stop the run because they know that if they leave Duhart and Fulgham one-on-one in coverage, then the secondary will get shredded.
So the question is, how do you not leave at least one of them one-on-one?
If I'm the head coach of the Thundering Herd, I'm willing to take that risk.
But what I'm saying, like, what defense are you playing to stop them from? One of them is you can't double both of them unless you're playing cover 2.
Right.
I don't know.
And it's easy to, like, if you want to try to focus in on Duhart and Fulgham, you still have Isaiah Harper, a speed threat. Yeah. So I think if you're Marshall, yes, you kind of pride yourself on your run defense, but that can't be your game plan coming into today.
Agreed.
Especially we've seen, like, obviously Jeremy Cox had a huge fourth quarter against Tech, but we've seen him kind of struggle this year. We had a big game out of Keyshawn Strong last week, I think 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. But if you're Marshall, you don't look at ODU and see them as a run-strong team. That's not our strength.
Right.
So
we're an
that's not going to be your main focus on defense.
But the thing is, like, even with Keyshawn Strong, 4 touchdowns last week. If you look at the 4 touchdowns last week, he wasn't breaking for 40, 50 yards. They were throwing into the red zone, then they were handing it off. So they're going to tie you down with the pass attack, have you running up and down the field trying to chase these guys. Then they're going to bully you in between the tackles.
Yeah. Once you get in the red zone, I think that the Monarchs will run a lot. And, you know, if you happen to get to 3rd down and 3 or 3rd and goal, you know, that ball is going to go up to Duhart or Fulgham where you can get that one-on-one where you only have a span of 5 or 10 yards to the end zone.
I think they're so dangerous in the red zone of how many things they can do. Because, like, okay, are we going to stack the box? If we're, 1st and goal on the 4-yard line, do we stack the box and try to stop Jeremy Cox? Because most likely that's where the ball going. Then if you do that, now you're one-on-one on the outside. So then, okay, the jump ball. And then there's also the fact that how many times in the red zone have we seen Blake pull it and be wide open, just running into the end zone?
Because he's not a threat. They don't see him as a threat to run. He's not Stevie.
So if they get in that red zone, I mean.
Yeah. Now it's just a matter of getting there, right?
Yeah.
And I think today will be a field position battle. Every game's a field position battle, but in this case, while ODU hasn't scored as many points as their opponents, Bailey Kate has down 16 punts inside the 20-yard line, which is big because you want to get stops. You want to get stops and get the ball back for your offense.
Yeah, but I don't think his punts are really making a difference. How many points did they give up against ECU last week? I mean, usually when you score 30 points, you expect to win the game. But if you're giving up 40 points, you're probably not going to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 52 last week to FAU, 37 the week before to ECU, and even 35 to Tech.
See, I'm like,
your defense has to get off the field. If you're pinning them inside their own 20-yard line, your defense has to get stops.
And they're not.
Correct.
But at the same time, the game, I mean, I guess the only game to look back on, the last win was Tech. I mean, O'Shane made the big plays.
Right.
Now, the good thing is they get Marvin Branch back today that we haven't seen all season, barring some issues that we still don't know why. But, hey, that's how the game goes.
Yeah. O'Shane is fantastic. He has been the defense, in my opinion. He's been the pass rush. He's been the run defense. 7.5 sacks on the season out of 10 total team sacks. He's a monster.
Yeah, I'd agree. A likely here, late 1st, early 2nd round draft pick. His stock consistently goes up here, whether you look at different websites. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, if they're doubling O'Shane, somebody on the other side has to get to the defense, whether that be Ward or Pooh.
Well, Ward is definitely getting more time since that. I want to say it was Tech that he first started coming in, getting more time. It was a Pooh before the first 2 games, and now he's getting more time. I'm a Tim Ward fan.
Yeah.
I like his athleticism on that end, and I mean,
I agree.
I feel like it's, especially with that starting, because we know Miles Fox is out for the rest of the season with the ligament in his foot, turf toe. But I feel like they're interchangeable now. Like, I feel like between...
It's a platoon over there
on the
other side.
I mean, what's Pat? So it's now the starting defensive line will be O'Shane, Ward on the other end, then you have Pat Toll and Brandon Tyson. That's your starting 4.
Right.
I like it.
I mean, I liked because I went down to the ECU game, and Ward got into the backfield. Whenever I saw him play, I agree with you. His athleticism really, really killed it on that end.
And then if you haven't seen, like, he always has those games that's like, they'll get a hold of him, tackles get a hold of him, but he's so long.
Right.
Like he has to put one of those paws up.
Exactly.
It's tipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were 3 or 4 instances in that FAU game where there were tip balls that were just nearly almost intercepted. So, I mean, early pressure on the Marshall quarterback as Marshall looks to throw the ball a lot today will be key.
Yeah, I mean, and you think about that. At least for me, I think about the attitude of the ODU team, like you mentioned, Chris. The last time they were at home, they did pull off a big win against Virginia Tech. So the expectations from this home crowd, they want to see something special again. They look at Marshall, and Marshall's obviously not Virginia Tech. So, and ODU coming off 2 losses, 1-5 on the year. They're better than a 1-5 team, in my opinion. I think their record doesn't show how good the team is or what they should be playing like.
I mean, they got robbed against East Carolina.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, that game was not.
Arguably, we should be 2-4.
Yeah, that game obviously had the interception go at the end, the controversy.
Right.
But I mean, ODU obviously they want to come out and win every game. But I think coming out at home, coming off 2 losses,
playing in Ballard makes a difference.
they really want to come out and kind of show the home crowd who they think they really are, who they really are.
When you have 4 out of your final 6 games at home, big games, 4 of them being conference games. You know, ODU definitely has a chance here at the end of the year. The 1-5 record, it may show up on paper, but that's not this team. If you take and you win 4 games in a row, like this Monarch team can, after what we saw against Tech, the Monarchs can make a bowl. It may not look like it right now, but I definitely believe that Bobby Wilder has these troops ready and that we can go on a big winning streak.
And also looking ahead, the next home game, Middle Tennessee, homecoming.
Homecoming,
I mean,
yeah.
It'd be pretty great because that's going to be a huge game, big crowd, nice atmosphere. If you can come into a big game like that with 2 wins in a row, this week against Marshall and next week at Western Kentucky, which ODU has never beaten before, that would be huge. Just kind of get the ball rolling and really kind of turn the season around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you win 2 in a row, you're 3-5, and like you just said, going into that Middle Tennessee game, you know, you're gonna have more people here just because it's homecoming. You know, that would be incredible. I mean, you're looking at 4-5 right there, and the following week after that is VMI, and then I mean, we have to get a huge win we have to get another huge win on the road at Rice, and these Monarchs definitely look to be able to do that. Let's talk about the kicking game here. Marshall's 6 for 8 on the year. They capitalize a lot on offense, but the ODU kicking game 5 for 9. It's been a rough year for Nick Rice.
It's been a rough year for kickers in general, to be honest with you. But,
on all levels, yeah, you're right.
Exactly. From college to NFL, it's a big problem for sure. I agree, but it's a colder day. You know, makes the ball less prone to move. It's not that windy today in Norfolk, at least for now.
Yeah.
That could change.
Yeah, exactly. That could change at any moment.
I don't know if the wet field had anything to do with the 2 misses at Liberty. So, I mean, but Nick Rice has gotten better as we've gone along. So, it's definitely a key to watch because, I mean, if you can go down every drive and whether you get 3 or 7, you're still getting points. And that's definitely what you want out of these Monarchs.
Especially we've seen they've allowed 38 points a game this year on the other side of the ball. So you got to score as much as possible to try to combat that.
You can't
allow
leave
that
too many
kind of
on the
stuff.
field.
Hey man, three's better than 0. So
Yeah, definitely. You know, 1 possession game is definitely better than a 2 possession game.
And also you got to look at if depending on field position on the time of the game, if you do think kicking is a liability, you have to make those tough coaching decisions. Like if you have a 4th down, like 4th and 3 or something in the red zone,
right?
Do you want to take the points,
do you trust
risk it?
your kicker?
Do you trust the kicker, or do you trust your offense?
Well, you saw that last week at FAU where it was 4th down and 1. The Monarchs were inside the 15-yard line, and they went for it, and they didn't make it. And that's one of those where you toss it up in the air, where you try and give it to Jeremy Cox, or whether you take the easy 3. It was earlier in the game. I would have preferred the 3, but it's not my decision.
And when you have a big back like Jeremy Cox or 2 big receivers like Duhart and Fulgham, kind of could make that decision easier, especially if you don't trust the kicker fully.
Yeah, if you want to toss up a ball to Duhart, see what happens. I agree. I thought the aggressive play calling from Wilder there was justified.
Better than Jason Garrett's?
Anything's better than Jason Garrett's now. But yeah, but today needing a win, conservatives probably the way they're gonna go. Trying to make the bowl, man.
I agree, trying to make the bowl. However, Bobby Wilder's coaching, he at home, he's more aggressive, which I very much favor. I mean, there was a point in the Virginia Tech game where I think it was 4th down and 7, 4th down and 5 when he chose to go for it, and we got a 15, 20-yard gain. So should be an interesting matchup here.
What's happening with the Monarchs, and I don't think nobody's paying attention to, is they're not starting off fast.
Right. They build.
And what's always happening is other team is starting off fast enough.
Yeah.
And the big emphasis going into the season was fourth quarter. I think they're playing great
In the fourth quarter.
but they're digging themselves such a hole early
Yeah.
that sometimes you're just not going to get out of it.
Right. And that was the case somewhat in the ECU game where they came out flat in the beginning. Granted, they gave up, I believe it was 2 scorers, or was it 1 score really early to ECU,
Mhm.
and then they battled back most of the game and took the lead eventually, and then, of course, the controversial call at the end. But I agree with you; they start slow.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's if you want to go back to that ECU game, it wasn't even just that controversial call. There was the pass interference call that was late in the fourth quarter that got ECU into field goal range, which, if you're battling all game and the refs aren't calling anything, and then suddenly you push somebody and it's an automatic flag.
But one thing that I know Bobby preaches to his team is that you don't want to leave the game in the referee's hands.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's something you can't control.
And if you look at that ECU game and if we're at home, maybe that result is switched, but you never know. You can't just make assumptions.
I know, Mello, you were caught some of practice this week. You got to speak to Travis Fulgham. What was the attitude of the team like heading into this week?
Honestly, it's been the same since Tech. It's been like feisty as far as they don't want to go anywhere, especially at home, and get punched in the mouth.
Right.
And I think teams are, because, of course, I think teams are looking at them like they're susceptible to that.
They look at the record.
Yeah.
And the record, like what Chris has been saying, the record doesn't speak for what this team really is.
You can look at that on paper and tell that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if no matter if it was Williams at quarterback or it's Blake.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm surprised at Blake's arm strength down the field.
Oh, I know.
I knew he had it, but I didn't know it was going to be as consistent.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to watch him play at Bishop once.
Yeah.
And I knew coming in when I saw that he was on the team as a backup, I was like, his arm strength is there. He definitely deserves to be on this team for sure.
Well, it didn't fit the offense they were trying to run.
Right.
And that's what happened. Because if you noticed, pre-Blake, there was a lot of out routes. And those are those that Blake can't make.
Yeah.
And granted, those are the hardest balls in football.
Exactly.
Is the outs and those comebacks because of the time and arm strength is ridiculous. And Stevie just has a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
But Blake, I think right now is just a better fit.
Yeah.
And I think they adjusted the play calling to help Blake.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
That's your guy for now. At least. It's just like Tampa Bay. Fitz was the guy, so they adjusted their play calling to fit Fitz. And then now that Jameis is back, they're going to go back to the original playbook.
Because I think Blake back there helps his offensive line.
Hell yeah.
I think he waits just enough. It's like that clock is like just enough. Okay, then I'm going to take off.
Exactly.
It's like with Stevie, it was like,
I'm taking off.
okay, I'm going to wait, take off.
Yeah.
Now it's like Blake, no, I'm going to wait. No, I'm going to keep looking downfield. No, I'm going to keep looking.
Right.
Then, granted, it has, I think it's resulted in, I think he's been sacked. At least he's been hit more than you would like.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I think it comes with him holding the ball longer.
Yeah.
But he's also shown that he's probably more athletic than people give him credit for.
He can be elusive, as we saw in that Virginia Tech game where he escaped for 20, 25 yards against a very good Bud Foster defense.
FAU gave them. I don't think we've seen a team since post Blake era, a defense that has been able to stop this offense.
Right.
And the crazy thing was, we all thought that the strong point of this team was the defense.
Yeah.
But now you're giving up 35, 40. Last week, FAU was what, 52?
52.
52, but
You only got 4 picks on the year.
if
pass coverage, pass coverage got to step up.
I mean, Sean Carter went down early in the game last week against FAU with an injury.
But man, 52. I mean, granted, they came in here last year and 50-plus points on us. That's just a Lane Kiffin offense.
Of course, he's an offensive guy.
But if you can get that FAU offense to slow down like a big team like Wisconsin did early in the season, it becomes a.
Hold on, what did Wisconsin do?
They beat FAU.
I mean, it's Wisconsin though.
But you're still taking them out of what they're comfortable in that fast-paced offense.
I mean, everybody can't do that though. It's Wisconsin.
But still, you're taking them out of that fast-paced offense.
Wisconsin ranked this year.
Yeah, they came into the season ranked 4th overall, or I think they were top. They're definitely top 10. They might not be top 5.
I mean, Wisconsin's just a hard nose. We're gonna hit you as hard as possible defense.
They're a run-first team too.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless, that's a Power 5 school
Yeah,
against FAU.
Yeah. I don't care how good Lane Kiffin is. He ain't that good.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some keys for the Monarchs to win today. I think getting off the field on 3rd down will be a big one. Blake LaRussa's early success throwing the ball, and then I think you either pass off the run or run off the pass.
They're not running off the pass. I'm gonna tell you. I mean, we just seen it. I mean, especially against this defense, you're definitely not. You have to see 1st down. You better loosen this defense up. You better throw the ball down the field.
Right.
You better try to clear that box out.
But to me, if they're allowing 3 yards, about 3.7 per run, and you get those 3 of those 4 on 1st down, that brings up a 2nd and manageable.
Hell
and then if
no, I ain't doing that against the defense.
I just don't know what's gonna come out. What play calling is gonna come out of Bobby Wilder today.
Their run is gonna be a lot of let's get the ball in Isaiah Harper's hands short and let him work.
Okay.
Because a lot of that running, or them little
After
swing
the
pass,
catch, he's so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think you're gonna run up the middle against his offense, this defense.
No, I think more stretches or counters to the outside.
I don't think they're that good at that. Am I the only one that does not think that ever works for them?
Yeah.
I swear, and they try it every game, and it just never works.
It worked against Tech, but everything was working against Tech.
Though.
Yeah,
eventually,
they had to build
because
to
they
it.
got the Isaiah Harper going early against Tech, and Tech saw that Isaiah Harper, he's fast, and then they put him in motion and they run Cox the way where Isaiah came from, and that hole was wide open.
Eventually.
And as soon as I see Isaiah in motion, jet sweep is the first thing that comes to my mind.
That's in everybody's mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever.
He's
the
like
biggest fake is that they're gonna hand it off to Cox.
Right.
Like it's never like that. Andy Reid, we're gonna fake the jet sweep, fake the run,
and pitch the tight
Yeah,
end.
like it's not that complex.
It's some crazy.
So it's assignment football, and this is a pretty disciplined defense.
Yeah.
ODU comes out with the Norfolk special.
Yeah, there you go.
I was just about to say,
Jeremy Cox gonna throw it to Blake LaRussa to get 1st down.
I'm just not a fan. Like I swear, I'm just not a fan of those jet sweeps. I just feel like they never get what they expect out of them.
No, definitely not.
Like I'm more of a fan of letting Isaiah run it in, run the post, like getting the ball in his hands that way.
Yeah.
So I think everybody expecting those little screens with him. Like everybody in the whole stadium knows that at that point where the ball's going.
Yeah.
Do you think lining him up at running back would, change some teams?
I mean, do you care about his future? I do.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not trying to see he's what one.
Let's see, less than 150.
130,
Yeah,
120,
130 at best.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
he weighs 130 wet at this point.
Yeah, like I didn't want to look it up. 'Cause I'm pretty sure they're gonna boost his weight.
Right.
Don't they normally?
Because he's not. He doesn't. I know he doesn't weigh more than Blake. There's no way he weighs more than Blake.
And speaking of Harper, we've seen like last year he had the 3 kick returns for touchdowns, and
beautiful one.
Teams have been able to keep the
UNC.
ball out of his hands, either kicking into the back of the end zone.
Wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I would. And that's something Marshall also has to focus on. They need to try to keep the ball out of his hands on special teams, because if he gets it in front of a home crowd, anytime he touches the ball on special teams, he can do something special.
It's Saquon Barkley-esque.
He, according to ODU Sports website, they say that he weighs 170.
Hell no.
A new big thing this year in college football. It's a rule that has been changed. It is now that you can fair catch the ball inside the 25-yard lines to get it at the 25. It's a player safety rule that they're now implementing. So it's definitely interesting to see, whether Isaiah will take it out of the end zone if he gets the chance, or whether he'll just take the fair catch, allow the Monarchs offense to work.
I mean, if he gets a
at the
chance to run it, I
25-yard
think he's going to run it.
Yeah, I'm not kicking to him. It's too risky.
Against in the FIU game, when we came out from halftime, I mean, he had a 30, 35, 40-yard return, and that sparked the offense.
Yeah, it's too risky. To me, like, if I'm the coach, I'm not kicking to him.
Yeah.
He's
You're
too,
gonna kick around him or kick to the other
one
side.
bad angle, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Would you rather kick to Brown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brown's not as fast. Brown admitted he's not as fast as Isaiah. Like, and Isaiah just has like it's not necessarily speed. It's twitch.
Yeah. It's
like,
those quick moves.
He can change. He can change.
That shady.
Yeah.
That shady thing. Yeah.
And then, I mean, of course, straight ahead, you're not catching him.
No, definitely not. Because he can spin around you.
So, we trying to wrap it up?
Absolutely.
So that
guess
means
it
you
counts it
got to
out.
give a score.
Yeah. What do you got, Chris?
Monarchs win 31-24. Blake LaRussa passes for over 300 yards. Jeremy Cox with a touchdown, 2 for Duhart. Monarchs defense comes up big late.
I'm next.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll go.
I have Marshall, 35-31.
Okay. Close.
See, ODU likes to give up a lot of points.
Right.
So I'll take Marshall 38, and I'll give ODU 35.
Okay. I'll take the Narcs 35-33. Got to do what I got to do, man. Dude, every time I bet against them, they exceed my expectations. So I thought that Virginia Tech was going to blow us out by 60.
Narcs by 90.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that kind of wraps us up here. Be sure to check the broadcast. We have Jake and Chris in the booth at 3:30,
Yeah.
coming live from SB Ballard Stadium. Until then,
Go
thanks
Monarchs.
for tuning in.
Righty.
Big